How are you? Hey, I'm Tim. John, how are you? Ron, how are you? Doing good. Long time no see. I have nothing in the Oh, really? Oh, I parked over here. Helen, how are you?
Announcement that we are not allowed to segment and make sure that they all know to speak clearly because we're trying to record this.
May I have a motion to return to public?
Motion.
Is there a second? Brink. Second.
Yes.
All in favor? Aye. A couple of things. We had a problem with the live stream. I ask that you silence your cell phones and any other device that might interrupt you, the proceedings, or your neighbor. If you have a conversation with your neighbor, please take it outside because we can hear it and it interferes with our dialogue. But again, sorry about the live stream. You'll need to speak very clearly when you do speak because we're using the court recording system and we need to capture this for, we need to capture the audio dialogue. Please rise for a salute to the flag. Remain standing for a moment of silence and reflection. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Item number 7, proclamation. Mayor's proclamation supporting Women's History Month in Colts Neck, March 2026. Whereas the National Women's History Alliance designates a yearly theme, gentlemen. Whereas the National Women's History Alliance designates a yearly theme for Women's History Month within the theme of 2026 being Leading the Change, Women Shaping a Sustainable Future, and whereas the purpose of Women's History Month is to celebrate the vital contributions women have made to the United States and to recognize the specific achievement women have made over the course of American history in a variety of fields, and whereas women from every walk of life have made possible the growth and strength of our country in countless recorded and unrecorded ways, whereas diverse women in our community play a critical economic, cultural, and social role in every sphere of life, and whereas Colts Neck Township pays tribute to the women on our staff who serve as leaders in the community on a daily basis across all of our departments, and whereas Colts Neck Township recognizes and applauds the women in our community who speak up and leading change. Now therefore be it resolved, I, Michael Viola, Mayor of Colts Neck Township, together with the entire Township Committee, recognize and celebrate March as Women's History Month in Colts Neck Township and urge all citizens to show their support of women. Mary? Mary's the chairwoman of Historic Preservation, president of the Ladies Auxiliary, Women Auxiliary, and the Women's Club. You're in the Women's Club too, right?
Women's Club.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. We have two discussion items. First one, we're going to take the Cs first. Counselor?
Sure. Our current ordinance does not provide for the ability to charge a fee for the costs associated with the fulfillment of Uber requests related to police body worn vehicle camera footage. There's been a significant increase in requests for same. As such, police custodian records for variance is asked that the township to consider amending its fee ordinance to include fees for these requests. Further, there are necessary updates in this chapter to bring the fee structure in line with practice. These changes have been reviewed in detail and approved by the respective department heads.
Any input from the committee? We shouldn't be bearing those costs.
No, we should not.
So should we instruct the attorney to update the ordinance? I believe we should.
I concur. I agree.
Thank you. For the public's notice, Committeewoman Buss had an emergency and had to leave. We hope everything works out okay. Second item is affordable housing. Going to read a statement. As many of you are aware, this past Wednesday, March 4th, the Township received a copy of a written recommendation of the Affordable Housing Dispute Resolution Program to the New Jersey Superior Court concerning the Township's Affordable Housing Plan that had been adopted in June of 2025. In short, the recommendation expressed that in order of the Superior Court to certify that the Township's Affordable Housing Plan complies with the Township's obligation under the Mount Laurel Doctrine and the Fair Housing Act for what is known as Round 4, the Township's Affordable Housing Plan would need to be amended to permit the development of 3 sites for which certain developers have proposed to construct housing where there is a 20% of the units to be built would be affordable units. In this regard, while the recommendation to the Superior Court was for the Township to continue to retain immunity from builders' remedy lawsuits, the ability to retain this immunity should be contingent upon the Township first adopting an amendment to its affordable housing plan by April 8th, and second, adopting ordinances to permit the development of the 3 sites by May 13th. Subsequent to the receipt of the recommendation, the Township wrote to the Superior Court requesting an opportunity to be heard regarding the disputes that the Township had within the program's recommendations. Following and notwithstanding receipt of that request, the Superior Court entered an order on March 9th adopting the program's recommendation. The program's recommendation followed the Township participating in mediation with 2 developers and an affordable housing advocacy organization known as Fair Share Housing Center, largely concerning the proposals by the developers that the Township should amend its affordable housing plan to permit the development in 3 sites in question. The first located on 68 Obi Road, the second at Wellspring Farm, and the third on Dutch Lane Road. Without getting into details because this matter concerns ongoing litigation, the Township Committee did not agree that these 3 sites were appropriate for development was being proposed by the developers, and the Township did not agree with certain positions advanced by the developers in Fair Share as far as what the Township is required to do in order to comply with its legal obligations under the Mount Laurel Doctrine and Fair Housing Act. To be blunt, the Township is disappointed by numerous statements and suggestions contained in the program's recommendation. That being said, the Township remains committed to complying with mandates of the Mount Laurel Doctrine and the Fair Housing Act. In this regard, the Township will, under protest, comply with the program's recommendations and the March 9th court order and will amend its housing element and fair share plan by April 8th and adopt zoning ordinances to permit the development of these 3 sites by May 13th. The Township will, however, commence with the New Jersey Appellate Division an appeal on the court's March 9th order, again, as the Township Committee, among other things, disagrees with certain legal interpretations advanced in the March 4th recommendation as far as what the Township is required to do in order to comply with Mount Laurel obligations. To be clear, this is not about trying to overturn, or refusing to comply with the Mount Laurel Doctrine. As elected officials, we are required to comply with the law. To the extent that there might be people in this room who are aggrieved by the law, this is the discussion you should have with your elected representatives in Trenton. In this instance, however, we do not agree with, among other things, the manner in which the court and the program have chosen to interpret the law. And for this reason, we will seek to have the order reversed as we continue to disagree with the recommendation and order compelling the township to amend its housing plan and adopt zoning ordinance for these 3 sites. As has been and will remain our practice, the Township Committee will continue to keep you informed of this process. I'd like to have a discussion item now by the governing body regarding this decision and our plans. Any input from Deputy Mayor?
Well, obviously deeply disappointed in this decision. Personally, I feel that it is less of a legal decision and more of a political statement made by the judge. That's the way I feel. There are national security concerns for at least 2 of these properties, given their proximity to Earl. And the other property has a deed restriction on it. The judge ignored them. It's the reality of the state we live in. Elections have consequences. The majority of people in this state voted for people in Trenton who think this decision is a good one. I don't, and I know a lot of you don't. I live here just like you do, and I'm angry about this decision. You wanted us to fight. We fought. This is what fighting looks like. Mayor Gasali, God bless him, mayor of Montvale, got 27 towns together to fight the affordable housing laws. They lost at the state level, they lost at the federal level, they lost at the federal appellate level, and just 2 weeks ago they lost in the Supreme Court because Justice Alito decided not to grant an emergency stay of a law that's reflected in the decision we got last week. The same policy that caused that lawsuit to fail resulted in this decision. It's just wrong.
I would like to add, if we do not comply with the order to to amend our housing element and fair share plan by April 8th and to implement the zoning changes for the 3 sites by May 13th, we will be stripped of immunity. What does that mean? It means the planning board, the zoning board, lose all control of Colts Neck. Builders' remedies, builders will go to the court and will present plans to build wherever they want in Colts Neck, and we will not have anything to say about it. So this decision is not a good, it's very bad. Let's be very candid. This is a very ugly decision. But not complying, we go from very bad to much worse. So we will comply and put these mechanisms in place under protest, and we will then file an appeal. Committeeman Rizzuto, anything to offer?
Our stance is going to be the same as it has been in previous meetings. I see a lot of new faces and I see a lot of familiar faces. So part of this we have to do is procedural, and then we fight. And we are fighting, put it simply. I'm not as polished as these guys are.
Committeeman Tadia.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, we look at the affordable housing doctrine and affordable housing issues that face not only this township, but many municipalities in the state, and from what the state has mandated. None of us are happy about those mandates coming down to us, because quite frankly, every one of us would be supportive of responsible housing. But what's being sent to us is not responsible housing, where a developer gets to come in and build 80% market share units to only 20%. And even if you negotiate for a higher percentage of affordable units, if you're lucky enough to get to 25 or 30%, it's still a lot of market rate units for those developers, let's call it what it is making a huge profit with the excuse of providing affordable housing. And then it comes into the debate, which we don't have enough time here tonight, is what actually is affordable and what is the actual affordable number of what affordable housing is. But responsible housing is what we should strive to do. And going back when I was chairman of the planning board, the decision that came before us for the 4th round housing plan for this durational adjustment, I voted no on. I voted no on that because there was no way that the durational adjustment was going to hold up a second time after doing it the 3rd time. And then the developers, which I just mentioned, as far as the profits that they have in these particular developments that they were not going to figure a way either to bring sewers into potential development sites and/or construct a pre-treatment plant on site, similar to the Kushner one that we still do not have all the information on from that approval. So when you go about something like this, we need to do a parallel path. There's not one of us sitting up here on the township committee, whether or not we agree or disagree on the process or the form that was used or how we went about it to how we got here. But the point being is, this was said it was going to happen. It was said that we needed to run parallel paths in order to solve our affordable housing obligations. Some of the things that I propose that we look along Highway Route 34, where there's areas that we could, 1, designate as areas in need of redevelopment, 2, possibly condemn, and 3, possibly go after RAD funds, which is redevelopment area bonds, that could be repaid back through pilot programs that would not cost the township or a small supplement from the township. I believe those areas along 34 should be looked at, along with a proposal of 100% affordable unit that could take care of the majority of our units. And it may require a supplemental funds from the township to make those particular projects viable for a 100% development. If I may, what that means
Please.
is, and I've asked for this on the planning board level, is there's a total cost approach to developing any type of housing in a municipality. That total cost approach is what is that going to cost this township not only today, but 10, 15, 20, 30 years down the line. We have members of the school board here. What is that going to do to our school system? Is it going to require an addition to our existing schools? Is it going to require a new school? What other services are those schools going to be needed to provide? There's a cost for that. And whether it's a new school or bond, whatever the cost of that is going to be a cost over a 30-year bond or whatever that turns out to be for that school board, along with manning that school, that new school, and the maintenance of the new school and what have you. There's also a cost to the increased police that are required as your population increases. The requirements of the police department through community policing and the guidelines from the Attorney General's office for de-escalation, it requires more police officers and longer time on the scene. Our fire services and EMS, our tax right now is an all-volunteer squad. We are supplemented by MedStar, thank God, from the county providing EMS services, but moving forward, those calls continue to increase. So when you look at those services and the costs, and then you got your road infrastructure, not only the cost of the township, but also to the county, all those add up to a cost. So what is the least cost option moving forward? Is it to allow a developer to come in and just build one of these developments or a different development, or is it something that we look at to supplement one of these developments or two of these developments and doing a 100% where we may actually have to be required to supplement the cost of that to make that development viable? Due to the fact that Cold Snake does not have sewers or municipal water, except for Kushner does have municipal water coming in from Marlboro. But the rest of that is a negative as far as for those 100% developments to qualify for what they call the 9% tax incentive. There's also issues as far as that ratings as far as different industries that are in the township or lack thereof, along as bus stops or the lack thereof. But what that requires is maybe we could qualify for a 4% tax incentive, but that would require supplemental funds from the township. I do believe in having a cross-section of individuals from this township involved in affordable housing. When I was on the planning board, the subcommittee included members of the school board, which I thought was a viable addition to that so that they know firsthand what is coming down the pipe for how it's going to affect the school board. We also have a member of the police department on that and our public works director. That input is vital to how we judge and what projects that we think are viable and would be the best option for the township. But make no mistake about it, it is going to cost this township services, and there's a cost for those services. It is what is the least cost option for that, whether we supplement and pick a location along Route 34 or another section in town, whether it is senior housing There's some other areas, but I do believe that we need to do a parallel path. And with these two developers, 3 sites, that we also need, and no disrespect to current council, you've heard me mention this before, I think we need different counsel and a variety of counsel to approach this in a variety of different ways. We are litigating this, and we're litigating it as far as the best of their ability to the court, but I also we need negotiating attorneys and attorneys that are a little bit more well-versed in different aspects of affordable housing. I believe in a multi-pronged approach. I believe in working with the Township Committee for that multi-pronged approach moving forward, which I'm sure we will have plenty of discussions. I'm not going to get into the specific sites because I don't want to violate any confidentiality issues, but there are a number of sites and a number of developers that are looking at this township, other than the 2 here for these 3 sites. And I do believe that, as a whole, this township could be in a site to present a parallel path and an alternative to the court, which the court could look favorable in having an alternative to these particular sites. Is it going to be easy? Absolutely not. Is it going to be the best interest in some individuals in this township or where it's located? Absolutely not. But I do believe that there's areas along Route 34 that we can designate as an area of redevelopment and may require condemnation, 1, for if the particular property owner is not willing, but 2, also to show the court, in the eyes of the court, that Coltsneck is finally going to run a parallel path and then do a good faith effort in providing responsible housing in the township. This township, in my opinion, has had a lukewarm proposals before the court, relying on durational adjustment and not having any viable parallel or conditional sites that could be developed for responsible housing. And when I say responsible housing, it is a combination of seniors, veterans, disabled, which 100% affordable would accommodate, and also some detached single-family homes for seniors or a combination thereof on those developments. Do I think Wellspring is a location where there should be development? Do not. There's a number of reasons why. That is also, that particular property, besides Earl, there is approximately 60 acres, maybe 40 acres of that is wet. That would not be conducive to development or possibly a pre-treatment plant. I think that we should actively consult with the county and Earl as far as purchasing that for open space and whatever that cost thereof, because again, it goes back into the cost analysis. Regarding Overy Road, again, although the Navy has issued a little bit warmer conditional, I guess consideration would be the word, for that particular property, I think that particular developer should be negotiated with because it might be a viable alternative, not perfect, but a viable alternative. And as far as the Dutch Lane site, I think there's a lot of questions that have not been answered regarding the deed restriction, because it's not only the deed restriction on that particular property, but this is overturned, what are the ramifications of any other deed restrictions in the townships. So some of these particular litigation issues that our council here has to face is not easy ones. It is difficult, but I do believe that we need to do a parallel path, and for my fellow township committee members, I do believe we need to expand the individuals that are on our affordable housing, including the school board, so that we can do a viable, and you have my full commitment that we offer alternatives to you in our next session in executive, so we can discuss that with council. But I firmly believe that we need additional counsel along with our current counsel to pursue this in multi-parallel paths. Thank you.
Thank you, Committeeman. I would like to, I welcome Committeeman Tabia and his experience to the governing body. Last year, he was not on the governing body and not privileged for our executive discussions on how we reached a determination to submit an application for a durational adjustment in round 4. We did have parallel paths that we were working on, but you cannot put something in a plan that isn't 100% because you will be held accountable to it. We have been working on all affordable. We've been working on the extension of affordability controls at the Grand. There's a ordinance introduction on the agenda tonight regarding that. We do have 56 credits in the queue from the Grand. We wanted to put that in the plan, but we didn't know what number we could put in there that we would get. So whatever you put in a plan, you're bound. So we were advised that we should be reluctant in putting things down that were not 100% guaranteed to happen. But all of the parallel paths that the committeemen had offered have been in discussion and have been worked on and viewed. We've had not false starts, but we had opportunities that just wouldn't pan out. Had we put them in a plan, we'd really be behind the eight ball. But yes, we look forward to working together and coming up with viable solutions that are the best for the township, that are also affordable for the township. Thank you, committeemen. Moving on to the minutes.
Can I just add something to that?
Deputy Mayor?
First of all, I agree with a lot of what Committeeman Tabia has stated here and what the mayor has stated. To put a little color on what the mayor said, now, on June 30 of 2025, the court ordered us to submit a housing plan. This is the housing plan in which we sought a durational adjustment because there's no water and sewer in Colston. We had sought a durational adjustment in round 3. It was granted. We sought a durational adjustment in round 4. Now, some people have asked me, why seek a durational adjustment? I just want to pick up on something the mayor said. Whatever goes in that housing plan, as the mayor said yesterday, is written in blood. It has to be a firm commitment, not aspirational, not a wish, not this is what we hope to do, but it's this is what we will do. Now, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to satisfy our obligation, right, to build affordable housing. Township doesn't own any property on which affordable housing can be built. So if we were going to tell the court what we were definitely going to do, we would have had to buy property. We would have had to eminent domain property, right? We would have spent a lot of money. We would have entered into contracts with developers. There's a whole formula on how you finance affordable housing, especially the 100% affordable. We would have had to negotiate all of that and have signed contracts. And here's the thing. On June 30, 2025, Mayor Gasali had his lawsuit. A lot of you wanted us to join that lawsuit. If that lawsuit would have been successful and we would have benefited, too bad. We had entered into contracts on June 30, and the counterparties to those contracts would have held us to those contracts. There was also an election for governor going on last year. A lot of us hoped that the Republican candidate would have won, and maybe if he did, the housing laws would have changed. But if we had entered into contracts on June 30, we would have been bound by those contracts, notwithstanding changes in trending. So, look, it's easy to criticize decisions, and I get it. But you also have to look at the options and the choices that we had at the time. We hoped Mayor Gasali's lawsuit would have won. That would have been a game changer. We would have hoped for a change in Trenton. That would have been a game changer. On June 30, those were realistic options. Didn't pan out. So keep those in mind, too. Those are important facts to keep in mind, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on. Item number 9, minutes. February 18th, 2026 special meeting budget workshop. February 25th, 2026 executive session and regular session. Are there any comments, amendments, adds, deletions from the committee? Is there a motion?
Move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Committeeman Spia.
Yes.
Committeeman Rizzuto.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Buzzata.
Yes.
Mayor Viola.
Yes. Item number 10, old business, second reading public hearing. Ordinance number 2026-01. An ordinance repealing existing section 102-15.c development fees of Article 4, administrative procedures of the Code of Colts Neck Township in its entirety, and replacing with new 102-15.c development fees of Article 4, administrative procedures, providing regulations for the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, collection of development fees, and expenditure of development fees. I'm going to ask planner to opine. We, planning board, reviewed these last night and adopted them as consistent with the master plan. Any other color you'd like to add before we open to the public?
I can just go through the ordinance real quickly, if you don't mind, Mayor.
Please.
The planning board reviewed the ordinance last night. They adopted a resolution finding that it was consistent with the master plan. They also included a comment that the governing body may consider in the future to allow residential structures that were destroyed by fire, acts of gods, natural disaster, to be rebuilt on the existing foundation without having to pay the development fee for it. This model ordinance basically repeals all the language in our current ordinance and plugs and plays the new state's development fee ordinance for a round 4 obligation. It adds a few new things for it. A lot of it is fluff and a lot of it is just wordsmithing. Wherever the word COA appeared in the old ordinance, it substitutes that out with the Superior Court of New Jersey for it, items like that. A new purpose has been added to the ordinance. The basic requirement that a municipality should not spend development fees until the court has approved the plan for the spending plan is new for it. When it comes to the actual fees itself, they're the same. If it's prior to the old development fee, not the one we have for the third round, but the one we had for the second round, that redevelopment is 1% of the assessed value added to the residential property. All of those projects are done. Nobody's paid 1% in the past 4 or 5 years for it. New residential construction pays 1.5% of the equalized assessed value added to the improvement for it. If a developer gets an increase in density, then they're paying 6% of the equalized assessed value to go into our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Commercial properties are paid 2.5% of the equalized assessed value into our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. The ordinance then has a few new areas for it. Actually, this is not a new area, but I feel like I should mention it. If a developer is aggravated with the calculation that is determined by the tax assessor, he's got 2 options of appeals. One to the County Board of Taxation, the second is to go to the Division of Taxation for an appeal on it. Then the next section is been completely rewritten, and it has to do with our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. That's how we spend the money that's collected from the developer's impact fees. That's the projects that the mayor and Mr. Tabee were talking about, where the municipality is going to have to insert some money for it. We're first going to go to the development trust fund and use that to the greatest extent possible that the court will allow us to do it. And then any gap in that, if we're going to do a 100% affordable project, it sounds like you're thinking they're going to have to raise it through conventional taxation purposes. And then monitoring, they changed the language for the monitoring system. Our chief financial officer has a new program, and they just made the language consistent with that new program for it. So that's basically what the developer's impact fee ordinance does.
Thank you, Tim. This is the second reading and public hearing by title. Is there any other comments from the committee? May I have a motion to open to public?
Move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Public, if you want to discuss this specific ordinance. Specific ordinance.
Boring stuff. Well, I got another one right here.
Anybody from the public wish to opine regarding this ordinance? May I have a motion to close? You wish to speak, ma'am? Mrs. Foley?
Here's the last part. So, here's something kind of important about the last part.
Would you come to the microphone, please? Name and address, please.
Hi, Kathleen Foley, 297 Lakeside Avenue. The blower noise in the back of the room is very loud, so it makes it really hard to hear, and so if you use the microphones a little better. And the last part about how you use those funds in the town, the affordable housing fund that you collect, is important, so I didn't really hear the microphone and the blower somewhere in the back. Thank you.
You want to sit up front? There's something right here.
I don't know if anybody listening can hear either.
Lean in, Tim.
Tim, yeah, move that a little closer.
Yeah, it basically sets the guidelines for our Affordable Housing Trust Fund for it. It's got to be in a separate interest-bearing account for it. Funds shall be deposited in the Municipal Affordable Housing Fund at all times, shall identify the source and the amount. Payments in lieu of construction on affordable housing units were previously permitted by ordinances. Funds contributed by developers to make 10% of adaptable entrances of the townhouses. This is saying like how we can spend it for it. Funds contributed by developers to make 10% of adaptable entrances. I'm sorry, I repeated myself. Rental income from municipal operation units, repayments of affordable housing program loans, recapture of funds, any other funds collected in connection with the municipal affordable program, including but not limited to interest earned in the funds collected. And then the last portion of it is a monitoring program. The state has a new program for the chief financial officer to use to track and report how much funds are coming in, the interest being gained on it, and where and how the funds are being expended. And it just makes our ordinance consistent with the state's requirements for that new program.
Thank you, Tim. Any other member from the public wish to be heard regarding this ordinance? May I have a motion to close public comment?
Move.
All in favor? Aye. May I have a motion to adopt?
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Committeeman Spia.
No, I voted no last time because it's my point, sorry about that, my point that any ordinance that is up for adoption should have information for the public to clearly see what is being changed or not changed in the ordinance.
Committeeman Rizzuto.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Bezzetta.
Yes.
Mayor Viola.
Yes. Old business, item B, second reading, public hearing, ordinance 2026-02, an ordinance repealing existing section 102-97.1 through 102-97.7 of Article 4 zoning and design requirements for residential districts of the Code of Colts Neck Township in its entirety and replacing it with new comprehensive regulations for the administration of affordable housing and addressing the current requirements for the Fair Housing Act and Uniform Housing Affordability Controls, UHAC, regarding the Colts Neck Township Affordable Housing Fair Share Obligation. This is the second reading by title, second reading and public hearing. May I have a motion to open to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Anyone from the public wish to be heard? Tim, do you want to give a little rundown of this?
Yeah, I can do that. No
Please.
problem. Ordinance 2026-02, administration of affordable housing. Basically, what that does is sets the rules of the games and the requirements on how me, as the affordable housing administrator for the grant, and on how Piazza and Associates, who's named the affordable housing administrator for the Colts Neck Manor project, operate underneath for it. Our current ordinance is like 13 pages. This ordinance pulls a whole bunch out of the new UVAC regulations that were adopted in December, and there's like 31 pages. So it's adding a lot of new requirements that come out of UVAC and just incorporating it within our existing ordinances that we have for it, so you don't have to cross-reference to go back to UVAC for it. Just going through the sections of the ordinance for it, just to give you a feel on what type of issues it's dealing with. Again, it has a monitoring and reporting requirements. That wouldn't be like for the trust account, how we collect the money and what we spend the money on. This monitoring and reporting requirements are who's being put into an affordable housing unit. Is it a low-income family, a moderate-income family, very low-income family? What's the household composition of that? Are they going into a one-bedroom, two-bedroom efficiency or a three-bedroom unit for it? The construction phase of when affordable housing units need to be developed as compared to when the project's being built. It allows developers to have a little bit of a head start. They can get COs for 25% of the units and they only have to deliver 10% of the affordable housing units at that time. By the time they get COs for 50% of the market rate unit, they need to deliver COs for 50% of the affordable housing units. Same with 75%, 75% COs for market rate, need 75 of the affordables to be completed. And when you get to 90% of the market rate, then you got to be completely done with the affordable housing for it. It sets up design requirements for the affordable housing unit, just to give you a flavor of some of them. The affordable units must have the same building materials as the market rate unit. The affordable units are not concentrated into a less desirable portion of the site for it. The affordable housing units must be offered at the same access to all the community amenities that the development contains. Each bedroom in affordable housing must have at least a window. Affordable housing units must have the same type of market rates within the same building. So if you have a townhouse building that's got market and affordable, the floor plan's got to be the same. If it's a one-bedroom market and a one-bedroom affordable, they need to have the same floor plans. There's a bunch more other design requirements. Goes into income split and bedroom distributions for it. Accessibility requirements, requiring a certain percentage of the affordable units be handicap adaptable. Basically, it wants to make sure that the doors are wide enough, the bathrooms have sufficient area to spin a wheelchair around, same for your kitchen. So this way, if you wanted to make it a barrier-free development, all the nuts and bolts are there. You just have to add the amenities for handrails or whatever for it, and ramps. Regional income limits. Each year that gets published by now the DCA basically says we're part of the Monmouth Ocean Mercer region for it. It'll set up what is the median income for our region, what is 80% of that or a moderate income household, what is 50% of that or a low income household, what is 30% of the median income as a very low income housing, and it will spread that out for different household size. One-person household, two-person household, three-person household for it. Same thing with the maximum and the initial rents and the initial resale prices. It sets up the requirements on how you distribute that. Most people that I know of just keep it uniform. If it's moderate, it's 80% of the median income. If it's low, it's 50%. You can change some of those up and down a little bit, but it's so much easier to keep your ducks in a line if you keep everything consistent with the guidelines for it. Affirmative marketing, how I, as the Affordable Housing Administrator, market the units that we have to get people to apply applications for it. One of the main requirements would be we have to use newspapers and radio stations that are in circulation throughout our region. I just can't market our units to the Two River Times that's only getting the eastern portion of Monmouth County along the Navesink and the Pleasure Bay for it. Occupancy standards gives you rules and regulations on how many people I can put in a one-bedroom unit, how many people you can put into a two-bedroom unit. If you have a household that is husband and wife and two daughters, I could put that in a two-bedroom unit, which a husband and wife, a son and a daughter that needs to go in a three-bedroom unit. Similar requirements as that. Control periods, establishing the 30 and 40-year control period for affordable housing. And then the rules for certifying buyers. When I have a resale in the grant, I go through my applicant pool and I have to certify that the person is income eligible for an affordable housing unit. It sets up all of the documentation that I need to receive, look at, in order to certify that a person is income eligible for affordable housing. And then, of course, the main thing that it has, that it's updated onto it, would be enforcement. If we have a tenant that goes wrong, if it's an owner-occupied unit and they start renting it out, or whatever it would be, or somebody just tries to sell the unit without going through the program, it lays out our administrative remedies we have to apply to Superior Court and Freehold and to sue them and demand compliance.
This is a model ordinance, is it not, Tim?
Yes, it's the state's model ordinance. It's basically a plug and play. You just insert the municipality's name from it.
Any comments from the committee? May I have a motion to open to public for public comment?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Public, you wish to be heard on this specific ordinance. Mrs. Mann, please come forward.
Elaine Mann, 587 Route 34, Colts Neck. On these design requirements, we didn't have this prior to when they built Lavinia. Is that not correct?
We had some design requirements, not as many.
Because they use press board, and will this ordinance help the access to our first aid squad? Because in Lavinia, the staircases going to the third floor are very narrow and getting people in and out. So will this address this issue?
No.
It won't.
No,
Why not?
because that's covered by the International Building Code. And so the construction department, when they review the plans for that, they look to see for the height of the building, the number of stories, and the type of construction it is, if it meets those requirements. UVAC doesn't address that.
Okay, I think it needs more work.
Well,
Thank you. Any other comments from the public on this ordinance? Mr. Orsino?
Anthony Orsino, 15 Metro Drive. Not that I understood all of this. I mean, nobody, I don't know who does, but it seems to me, is this due because of the affordable housing? I mean, all the ordinance that the city had so far, the township were in place, and this additional change.
Mr. Sam, can you repeat it and say it a little louder? I'm trying to...
I'm sorry.
Move a little closer to the microphone, please.
The new ordinance that are being considered to take place is obviously raising the old township ordinance that we had, the construction, the occupation, the limits to who is due because of the affordable housing, all these changes. I'm wondering why this is all coming up now and whether the township has the resources to do all this. And is it this something that, like the trust fund, requires money from the, does the trust fund require additional money from the citizens?
this doesn't require any money from the trust fund.
Okay.
This is just the policies that the Affordable Housing Administrator utilizes when he goes to market a unit, certify a potential applicant, and resell the unit, or set rent increases each year for rental units for it.
Right.
And it's basically brought around because we're in round 4 now of our affordable housing requirements, and it's just updating our current ordinance to address all the requirements of round 4.
Right.
Yeah, I got that much about the updating. I didn't know if it was, I guess it's something necessary.
Yeah, we have to adopt it.
What's that?
We have to adopt it because the court's...
Yeah, I understand. I understand. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard regarding this ordinance? May I have a motion to close public comment? Second? May I have a motion to adopt? Roll call.
Committeeman Sevilla.
For the same reasons I voted no to the other ordinance, I believe as the public should have advance notice of what's in an ordinance or what the changes are, so I'll vote no.
Committeeman Rizzuto.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pizzata.
Yes.
Mayor Bueller.
Yes. Item number 11, new business. First reading introduction, ordinance 2026-03. An ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and establish a cap bank. NJSA 40A:4-45.14. Finance Chair.
So the title of this is an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget. Sounds pretty ominous, right? We're going to spend a lot of money. but this is an ordinance that is passed every year by every municipality. What it essentially does is there is a vestige of state law dating back to 1975, thank you, that says that a municipality cannot spend more than 2% of last year's budget, with some exceptions, right? So last year's budget was $11.7 million when you remove these exceptions. State law says, well, we can't spend more than 2% more than the 11.7 unless you pass an ordinance to increase it to 3.5%. And so that's what we're doing. We're passing an ordinance that allows us to increase the spending from last year by 1.5% above the 2%, or 3.5%. Now, why do we do this? Because the money has to be used for pension payments, medical expenses. Well, the state raises pension payments by 20%. And we have to then find ways to pay that. And this ordinance allows us to do that.
And it's a 2-year period, so the unused cap from last year is included in this year's cap. Next year would be the 26 cap and 27, then 27 and 28. May I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Roll call.
Committeeman Sevilla.
Yes.
Committeeman Rosito.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pizzetta.
Yes.
Mayor Viola.
Yes. Public hearing scheduled for March 25th, 2026. First reading, introduction by title. Ordinance 2026-04, ordinance appropriating $52,000 from the Capital Improvement Fund to provide for the acquisition of firearms equipment in and by Colts Neck Township in the County of Monmouth. This is the first reading and introduction by title. Counselor, would you give a little flavor to...
Yes, this is a capital ordinance, fully funded. There's no debt incurred of $52,000 for firearms that are necessary for the replacement of old firearms that we received last year.
There was a case against Sig Sauer, I believe, and that weapon is claimed to discharge on its own, and that is the firearm that our department uses. We're going to replace that. This is an emergent issue. We're going to adopt this prior to a cost increase in May, so the police department can arm themselves with different equipment.
Speaking as kind of before.
Well, we can't hear you.
Well, do you want me to repeat what I said, or okay? This is a fully funded ordinance to pay for firearms, to replace firearms that we currently have that have been deemed unsafe because they can go off without actually putting the hand in it.
So it's a danger to the officer, it's a danger potentially to the public. So for liability issues, we're going to jump the gun and do this now out of funds we currently have. Any comments from the committee?
Yes.
Mr. Tabia.
Just a couple of questions. One, to our town attorney, thank you for the extensive report that you did supply to the township committee regarding this issue from the attorney general's suit. The question I do have is, can we do this even quicker by doing it in an emergency temporary?
It would not fit within any of the emergency temporary applications.
Thank you. And as we discussed during the budget hearings, this was known last year. This actually is a safety issue and liability issue to our police officers. I believe that something like this, if it comes up again, should be handled immediately. And like I said, because not only do these officers put themselves in the line of danger, the least thing they need to do and worry about whether or not a firearm is going to misfire or not. So I fully support this and to move as quickly as possible we can with the purchase. And by the way, as 1/20th of the appropriate authority, have a conversation with the police chief. There is a trade-in value of the existing firearms, which this price will actually be lower in the end.
Exactly. It is, we'll be on for second reading on March 25th, so we are accelerating as quickly as we can. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Committeeman Sevilla.
Yes.
Committeeman Rosito.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pizzetta.
Yes.
Mayor Viola.
Yes. Item number C, first reading introduction, ordinance 2026-05. An ordinance of Colts Neck Township in the County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, setting salary and wage ranges for township employees. This is the first reading, introduction by title. What this does every year, this is housekeeping. Prior to the budget introduction, we put together a range, the salary range for each of the positions within the township as we build the budget. Are there any comments from the committee?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Committeeman.
Mayor, as we discussed during the budget process, I believe that I fully support the ordinance. However, without violating to certain individuals with not been rights notice, I do believe there's further discussion on certain positions within the township that need additional information and additional comment and further discussion from the township committee related to those positions moving forward.
For us to speak about a specific position in the township, we have to Rice notice, a Rice case, where the employee needs to be provided the opportunity to attend and listen to what we're discussing. We will do that in executive, and that will then be put forth in the budget. Thank you, Committeeman. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Committeeman Spia.
Yes.
Committeeman Rizzuto.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pizzetta.
Yes.
Mayor Beal.
Yes. Public hearing scheduled for March 25th, 2026. Item number D, first reading, introduction by title. Ordinance 2026-06, approving and authorizing extension of affordability housing controls for 34 owner-occupied units with a payment of $40,000 to each owner, extending and continuation of the 50% recapture lien. Tom, you want to make some comments on this?
Sure. So there are 66 units at the Grand, which were previously deed restricted in or around 1994, 1995, and some through 1996. They were 30-year deed restrictions. Those deed restrictions now having come to expiration, the township has the ability to seek to extend the affordability controls voluntarily by the unit owners. So the township previously extended an offer to the unit owners for a payment of $40,000 to extend the controls for another 30 years. So 34 unit owners had expressed interest in that potential and an intent to take advantage of that opportunity, which would lead to the execution of the deed restriction and as well as the payment. So this ordinance addresses the authorization for the township to make the payment, the authorization for the township to negotiate the execution of the deed restriction, and there's a specific waiver of release that will be negotiated and executed by the unit owners in conjunction with executing the deed restriction in conjunction with the payment of the $40,000. And the mention of the continuation of the 50% recapture, the township is electing to take advantage of language in the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls. When these units were initially created, they contained a 50% recapture lien, which means that after the deed restrictions expire, if they're sold at market rate, 50% of basically the net profit would be paid to the township. So traditionally, and since around 2001, new deed restrictions would increase the amount of recapture up to 80% and beyond. So these, in fairness to the existing unit owners who have 50% recapture, we would continue those 50% recaptures. But in the future, if there's a sale to another affordable housing unit owner, then they would get updated deed restrictions that would come into compliance with what the current UAC regulations require, which is a complex equity share recapture lien, which I'll spare everybody an explanation of. But that being said, this is the first reading of the ordinance to basically authorize the finalization of those agreements and ultimately the payment of the funds to as part of the voluntary extension of the affordability controls.
Thank you, Tom. Are there any comments by the committee?
And Councilor, these units will actually become credits for us against our outstanding affordable housing obligations, right?
That's correct. So we did, as part of the anticipated amendment of the Township's affordable housing plan, some of which under protest, but it will include these units as credit-worthy. I think the mayor may have already mentioned that there's approximately 55
55, 56, yeah.
55, 56 credits that the township can take advantage of as a result of extensions of affordability controls, and of which would include 34 of those credits would include these units.
Any other comments from the committee? May I have a motion?
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Committeeman Sevilla.
Due to pending litigation, I vote no.
Committeeman Rizzuto.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pizzetta.
Yes.
Mayor Viola.
Yes. Public hearing scheduled for March 25th, 2026. Consent agenda. Thought we'd never get here. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered routine by the township and are adopted or approved collectively by a single motion and roll call vote of a majority of the township committee. If discussion is desired by any item, is considered separately. Resolution 2026-55 through 2026-60. Are there any comments?
Mayor, I'd like item E taken separately, please.
E should definitely be, it can definitely be taken separately. Additionally, E, subsequent to executive session, should read authorize Cold Connect Township to enter into an agreement with Government Strategy Group for the search and recruitment of services for the township administrator. We can take that out of consent.
Township Administrator has announced her intention to retire at the end of the year, and we are going to hire a professional search firm to help us find a replacement. This is that resolution. Any other questions? May I have a motion?
Move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Committeeman Sevilla.
For items A through D, yes.
Committeeman Rizzuto.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pizzetta.
Yes.
Mayor Viola.
Yes. Approval of vouchers. Finance Chair.
We have to deal with the resolution separately.
Okay, I'm sorry. So,
Resolution 2026-59, we will be dealing separately.
may I have a motion to adopt?
Move.
Second.
Roll call.
Committeeman Sevilla.
On this particular resolution, the fact that I believe that Cold Connect is a desirable place to want to work. I believe there's a number of administrators, both in this county and outside of this county, that would want to come here. I believe that the search should be handled in-house first for 30 days, and if no viable candidate comes forth or is selected in that time, then is look at a professional firm and also save up to $17,500. For that, I vote no.
Committeeman Rizzuto.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Pizzetta.
Because this is a really important assignment, and the position of clerk is incredibly important to Cold Connect, I think we need to have a professional firm conduct that search so that we get the best possible candidate, and therefore I vote yes.
Mayor Viola.
Yes. Item 60, separate as well?
Sorry?
Was item 6, did you just,
No,
just,
that.
just one, okay. Vouchers. Please keep, if you need to speak to your neighbor or someone, please go outside because we can hear it here and your neighbors can hear it. Thank you. Finance Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I reviewed the vouchers. The total amount of the bills this month is $3,051,803.99. Give a sense of what we're spending our tax dollars on. $1,600,758 of that, so slightly more than half, or school taxes to the Cold Connect Board of Education. And remember, the township, we collect all the taxes and then we disperse taxes. This particular case, $1,600,000 is to the Cold Connect Board of Education. $1,131,548 is to the Freehold Regional High School. The storm that we just had on February 22nd and 23rd, the cost from the vendor, Slope Brook Farms, is $161,150. And we're going to be seeking reimbursement from that from the federal government because the state of emergency was declared, but that might take years to recover that money. In the meantime, we're spending that money. Just some other items. Bulletproof vests for our police department, $1,778.33. Body-worn cameras, which the state obligates us to buy for our police officers, $13,351. Maintaining our roadways, inspecting them, and repairing them, $18,740. And gas for our vehicles, right? Diesel and gas for our vehicles, $12,394.29. That's just a sampling of where our money goes to. So in total, Mr. Mayor, I move the amount of $3,051,803.99 for payment.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Roll call.
Committeeman Padilla.
Yes.
Committeeman Rizzuto.
Yes, with the exception of the fire department.
Deputy Mayor Pizzaro.
Yes, with the same exception.
Mayor Viola.
Yes, exceptions, Best Horticultural, Bucks Tree Service, and Jolene Landscaping. Administrator's report. In her absence, I'm going to provide a brief update. Beginning on March 23rd, the county will begin to repair Bridge A9 on Montrose Road over Yellowbrook. The proposed work is anticipated to last approximately 6 weeks. The nature of the repair requires the bridge to be closed and assigned detour. Obviously, residents live on Montrose will have access to Montrose. Also, regarding DPW, post-storm related activities, pothole repair, street sign repair, fallen tree removal, convenience center for recycling beginning April 4th, Saturday hours will start from 8 to 1:30, and it will remain open on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well this week and next week. Leaf collection, one-time leaf collection in the spring, begins on March 30th. See the website for the collection guidelines. Brush collection begins in Zone 1 on April 6th. I live in Zone 1, and there's brush already out in the street. It's too early. You might, if you're in Zone 1, if you're in Clover Hill, and you have brush on the street, you might get visited by code enforcement. It's too early. 2 weeks before the pickup. This is 3 weeks before the pickup. Additionally, cleanup day is scheduled for May 2nd. See the website for details. Also, for seniors and handicapped individuals, beginning Monday, April 6th, continuing until 3 p.m. on April 30th. Seniors and handicapped may request a list of curbside collection. Requests must be made by phone, email, or regular mail not later than 3 p.m. on April 30th. And then they'll pick that up, the collection beginning the week of the 4th. That's all I have from the administrator's report. Township Committee reports. Township Committeeman Tabia, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple items on the Sports Foundation. There was a meeting at the beginning of the month, and they were very thankful that the Township Committee was in favor of supporting them with their efforts as far as the improvements at Laird Field. They will also be submitting a proposal to the Township Committee for improvements that they want to make to numerous other parks and fields at no cost to the Township. So we commend them for being a viable partner with the Township for providing sports activities for our children. And like I said, as far as the two other committees, the environmental and farmland preservation, there was no meeting.
Thank you, Committeeman. Committeeman Rizzuto.
For the sake of a large crowd tonight, I'm going to be very, very quick. On this historic random emergency meeting here, I'm not going to put the president on the spot tonight. Just check the website for the upcoming events. And I'd just like to thank police and first aid and all the other units, OEM, for their participation in the budget process, which is ongoing. We're always looking for savings, economies, and we're getting there. So I'd like to just thank the chief and the captains and the presidents and the captains and the firehouse, because Tara's not here, for getting all this stuff in. It's a tough time to win, and they're doing a lot. So thank you.
Thank you, Committeeman. Deputy Mayor.
The report is on the Board of Education. It's obviously an important part of our council. I'll take a moment to report on the meeting that was held on March 4th. The recording is available on live stream if anyone wants to watch it. We do have the President of the Board of Ed and Board Member Kevin Walsh, so if I get anything wrong, you'll correct me. I hope not to. At the March 4th meeting, the Board of Ed passed a resolution declaring a critical school capacity condition. The board is requesting that the municipality, the state, and the federal government take action to ensure responsible growth and to account for educational adequacy. The Board of Ed formally requests the Township Committee and the Planning Board to immediately consider a temporary moratorium on residential development until a coordinated school impact plan is developed. The Board of Ed also formally requests the town to amend the master plan to include educational impact analysis as a required component of all major site plan and subdivision applications. Committeewoman Buss and I have been invited by the President of the Board of Ed to meet with her, certain members of the Board of Ed, and Superintendent Garraday to discuss the impact of affordable housing on the Colts Neck school system. I'm pleased to accept that invitation, and the meeting, I think, is tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. Thank you again for the invitation. The Board of Education is considering a proposal to spend an additional $11,000 for stop arm cameras, additional stop arm cameras on school buses to better catch flashing red light violators. Thus far, 12 summonses have been issued. People passing a school bus with flashing red lights. Blows my mind. Finally, at the meeting, a board member raised a proposal for consideration by the entire Board of Education to form a committee to study renaming the Conover Road Primary School to the Donald J. Trump Primary School. Superintendent Garraday stated at the meeting that the current name of the primary school is named in honor of the Conover family, whose estate benefited Colts Neck schools. That's it for the Board of Ed. On finance, just to repeat, the committee will be introducing our proposed budget for 2026 on March 25th and hope to adopt it on April 29th. That's all, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. My comments are very brief. Regarding recreation, the Easter egg hunt is on the 26th at Firehouse Number 1. Rain date is the 4th of April. And summer camp registration begins on April 9th. Comments from the public. Procedure for public comment. The Colts Neck Township Committee welcomes comments from the members of the public. Please raise your hand if interested in being heard. Once recognized by the mayor, identify yourself by clearly stating your name and address for the record. Your comments will be limited to 4 minutes. Once you have finished speaking or your 4 minutes have expired, the Township Committee will respond accordingly. I also ask that when your comments are done and you return to your seat, please keep quiet. Say what you got to say at the microphone. There shouldn't be any dialogue from the audience back to the governing body. God bless you. That's excused. May I have a motion open for public? Second. All in favor? Aye. Public, you're up. Name and address, please.
Kevin Walsh, 8 Lindy Lane. Good evening, committee, Township Committee. I'm going to be brief. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for your public service. It's a thankless job. I know being an elected official, serving on the board, you get no thanks. Serving is one of the noblest things a citizen can do in serving their town. I'm very disappointed in the text message that went out today and the division it's causing throughout the whole township, and that's what we don't need in town. We need positivity. We need people working together. We need to be unified in serving our public. We are faced with the task of building over 800 affordable housing units, which will cost our taxpayers tens of millions of dollars. The affordable housing crisis is directly the fault of Democratic policies, heralded by our new governor and Democratic majority. In 1975, the Supreme Court, majority stacked by Democrats, adopted the now rural housing and causing this calamity in every town in New Jersey. We need to find solutions to this and stop the infighting and cast blame on others. Our residents demand this. My thoughts are to stop paying millions of dollars to our township attorneys fighting affordable housing. Commitment to be I agree, fire all of them, except our township attorney. Hundreds of thousands of dollars could went into building affordable, 100% affordable housing to get the maximum amount of credits. It'd be veteran homes, senior citizen homes, autistic children.
that are nonverbal and need all the support in the world. We have a lot of special need families in our school district, and make sure it's helping use that housing. Especially when they become adults, they need that support. So, and finally, I'll just say, let's decide as a town to decide what we're going to build, and not have all these builders running around trying to take up every available open space we have in this town. This town is a beautiful town. It's going to stay that way. But we need everybody to work together to solve the situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walsh.
Thank you.
Please.
One thing to keep in mind, I'm sorry, just one thing to keep in mind. I agree, Mr. Walsh, with everything you said. Keep in mind that 25% of anything we build has to be family units. I believe it's 25%. I could be, it's 25 or 30, but it has to be a family unit component. So the impact on the schools, even if we do seniors, even if we do group homes, even if we do all that, there's still an impact on the schools. So thank you for what you do.
Hi, I'm Anil Sharma with my wife, Pragati Sharma. We live on Mockingbird Drive.
Can you just spell your last name, please?
Last name is Sharma, S-H-A-R-M-A. My question is, we moved into that area almost 20 years back, and we thought we had a deed restriction that we will have no other occupancy, and then the first time we are hearing recently about the development behind our house. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom, you want to just be brief on that?
Yes, briefly, the township is obviously aware of the deed restriction, which you're referring to. We refer to it as the conventional road site tonight, but that's obviously the one you're referring to as well. The township raised the existence of the deed restriction and asked further opportunity to be heard to the Superior Court on that. The program area in the Supreme Court and the Superior Court, declined to hear further comment on the deed restriction. I imagine this is going to be the subject of further litigation and appeal because the township obviously continues to assert that there is a deed restriction, and irrespective of whether the developer seeking to develop the site wishes to recognize its existence, it's there. So.
Thank you, Tom.
Hi, good evening. I'm Adrian Shapko with my wife Sadie here at 6 Mockingbird Drive.
Could you again say your last name?
Shapko, S-H-A-T-K-U.
Thank you.
As you understand, we are very, very preoccupied. So here's my question one. Are you aware that there's one LLC treating these 3 properties? So it's one predatory developer with 10 employees, weaponizing Montreal and Copeland. You are aware? Number 2, for the deputy, I'm in the telecom industry. Nokia lost the iPhone, said we did everything right, but somehow we lost. Your answer that we did everything right, somehow we lost. Not enough, for example. Second, the only genuine strategic thinking that I saw tonight is from this gentleman. I don't know who he is, but he has some great ideas. Please embrace them, because I saw in many rounds you were kind of against it. I don't know what you're embrace it. He has some good ideas. Why would you allow Active Acquisition LLC prey on you? Well, by the way, I agree. Fire those lawyers. You lost twice. Why keep paying them? And by the way, as a resident, and particularly I'm as concerned as Neil, you told us a problem with deed. Was that fake? And if they can appeal the deed, then you don't have a town. You mentioned about this politics. There's no Democrats in Boston. What more can we vote? Right? So do a little soul searching, Mayor and Deputy Mayor. I don't know what this gentleman is, but has some good ideas. I have no idea who he is, sir. Thank you. So here's some more I have for you to think about it. You are committing today that you are going to file an appeal?
I'm assuming you are?
Yeah, please continue your comments.
It's important for me, it's my house, okay? So we want to know that you are committing and formally to appeal with your lawyers. I'll move to the last question now, this is for you, is in the recent March 4th court decision, active opposition appears to have argued in the court that the deed restriction was not properly recorded. Is that true? We want to know. And if it is, what is the documents? I can go on, and I would like to know who can we formally communicate in writing, because as residents in Mockingbird Drive and Lexington Court, and anyone in the mile around our property, we are extremely concerned, and we will fight with whatever is in our hands. And thank you once again, John. You have some great ideas, and I hope the mayor and the deputy will really embrace those ideas now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So you make your comment or ask your questions. When you're finished, then we'll engage back. It's not a back and forth while you're at the microphone. There is a deed restriction. We intend to do our best to enforce it. It is our intention to comply with the court order to maintain our immunity from builder's remedy lawsuits under protest, then seeking an appeal. So this is moving to another round of a fight, but there is a fight. Pascal.
My name is Pascal Holbrook, and I...
Address?
No, I don't live in Cold Neck anymore.
Still need your address.
I'm in Monmouth Beach. I can tell you that, many years ago, or several years ago, I represented Angie Warforgan, who is not here right now. She owned the property at Dutch Lane. And when we sold that 40-acre property, I guess it was just under $2 million, she counted on that for her life savings. She was told that she would not be allowed to, that was not subdivided, it was deed restricted, no ifs, ands, or buts. Now today, knowing that this could possibly go through, I'm concerned for this town because I was raised in this town, I have family in this town, I have all my friends here, and I deeply care about this town and the implications that this has. I think this will open up not just other developers coming into this town and saying, hey, why just not go for a 40-acre property? Why don't we go for the 10-acre zone? Why don't we go for the 5-acre zone or 2-acre zone? I work in this town, and I can tell you, I have people coming from all over, and I tell them, sorry, the zoning is 2-acre, 5-acre, 10-acre, 100-acre, and it's not subdividable. This will set a precedent, and I think what will happen is, if this passes, you'll have even homeowners saying, well, guess what? If that passed, I want to subdivide my 10-acre zone lot. I want to subdivide my 5-acre lot or my 2-acre lot, put my father in that lot and have another house on the property. I mean, Angie Warforgan's property at Dutch Lane, when a builder came in and that property was sold to somebody who unfortunately passed away in the midst of his building, they were told that they couldn't have that secondary structure that Angie lived in at the beginning of Dutch Lane. They couldn't have that there because it was 2,700 square feet. That if they needed to have that, it would be farmhands, a home for a farmhands, and it couldn't be more than 1,300 square feet on a 40-acre lot. Now we're looking at putting 389 units there, and certainly, I have to tell you, I sell everything in this town in real estate, and I can tell you, the values of all the surrounding towns, good luck. They'll plummet. Because who wants to have a $4 million house with condos right behind it? People come to this town because they expect to they love the openness of the land. The next step will have a Target in the backyard. I think it's wrong. I think we've got to do everything we can, and I appreciate all the work that you've done. And I'm sorry, I think we need to possibly get maybe, I could talk to you later about a law firm that could really help, maybe really bring out the big guns to make some changes here.
Excellent.
Thank you.
This question is clear. We've been fighting this for last 6 months. Active acquisitions came on the radar screen, I don't know, August,
September 2nd.
September 2nd, that they wanted to build on Dutch Lane property. We fought them. We fought them tooth and nail. Other towns have settled. We did it. We defend that deed restriction for all the reasons you just said, Ms. Copeland. If that one goes, they all go.
And not just in Colts Neck, it's being statewide.
So now we're going to appeal the decision. The fight goes on. We're not lying down. We're not going to take this lying down, Ms. Copeland. I agree with you.
And there's a sentiment, and again, I apologize for those who come every meeting to hear me say the same thing. I see a lot of faces tonight, and there's a sentiment that when you hear about how this works, the rules and regulations of affordable housing and Mount Laurel, you go through the stages, anger, denial, this, that, and just like, stages of grief. So most people, when they first get understanding this concept, they fall into two categories. They say, you must have missed something, and that's what I'm hearing tonight, a lot of that. You must have missed something. Trust me, we've been working diligently since round 3 on this. And we keep saying, well, we had a couple of bad decisions come down the pipe. Nobody in the state of New Jersey, let me repeat that, no municipality in the entire state has ever won. None. Not one, not one. So what can we do to gauge our progress? And metrics, I agree with you, sir. What are the metrics? How do we gauge our project? Next, I'll pull the numbers. I'll have the numbers for next meeting. And we'll compare all the towns around us of comparable size and open space. And you'll see that we have managed our numbers admirably with a sound legal philosophy that has got us through thus far, relatively unscathed. Nobody's happy about what had to have been built. No town in the state of New Jersey has ever won. And if anybody gets up here and says we're going to, fight the fight out of our dead hands, is going to lead this town right into a 2,200 unit, 900 and something affordable kind of an obligation. So just be careful. I just want to assure you that we're on this, and we've been fighting diligently since round 3. And we're getting there. We're going to fight. And in a fight, you're going to get hit. You cover up and you keep fighting. Thank you. And I agree with you. We will be working closely, and you will be in contact with.
It really comes down to a choice. Please, sir, please,
You'll
please,
contact with them,
please.
so we can get the organized.
It comes down to a choice. Do we accept the rule of the court and let the developers build? Or do we do so under protest and try to find a better solution, defend the deed restriction, defend the other 2 properties as well, while we maintain immunity? We don't want to take this is not a good situation. No one's sugarcoating anything. This was not a good decision. We're very disappointed. But it could get much worse. If we lose our immunity, it's over in Colts Neck. You're going to have holes in the ground all over the town, everywhere. We would lose control. Control would go to the court in Freehold. It would go to the Superior Court judge and the special adjudicator, or master planner. They would say, oh, you want to build this there? Fine, build it. And holes would go in the ground left and right overnight. So we are going to fight. We are going to do so under protest and then appeal. Mr. O'Brien?
Mr. O'Brien, could you just hold on 1 second? There was an issue there that was brought up of whether or not the deed was filed correctly, and if you did not address that, I feel the attorney should be able to address that.
Thank you, Counselor. Tom, do you want to give some feedback on that?
So I have a copy of a filed plat for major subdivision, and it does reflect it does have a note on it reflecting the deed restriction against subdivision of the site, and does have a file stamp from Monmouth County. It does.
Is that a board resolution as well?
This goes back to 2001. I'm also aware of copies of resolutions, as well as I believe we have board reports, or 1 or 2 board reports related to the copies for us.
You can receive that via OPA.
Okay.
Thank you, Counselor.
Can I just ask one other question?
Does Ms. Coppola still have any time
You
left?
still have,
I
Okay.
do. Can I take my time?
Yeah, you can.
I just want to ask, now, Does this apply also to farmland preservation properties? God forbid this passes, can developers come and try to sue and say, well, let's overturn farmland preserved properties? Can that happen?
Open space, where does it stop?
Exactly.
That's our position as well. Where does it stop? This is not a specific issue. Yes, we do have an issue on Dutch Lane with a deed restricted property that the court has said we must rezone so active acquisitions can build and help us meet our unfulfilled affordable housing obligation. Where does it stop?
Right, so the situation is dire.
But it's everywhere too. It's not.
But I think the infrastructure, you talked before about, you mentioned the fire department, the police department, the taxing of the schools, the roads, traffic patterns.
It's where we are.
Yeah. I just wanted to reiterate that. I know you do.
Thank you.
Just one more thing on the Dutch Lake. We will be open to buy it.
Do you have any time?
You don't have any.
Yeah, we will be open to buy it and work with the town.
Thank you. Mr. O'Brien. I'm sorry, you've been very patient.
O'Brien, OPRIDN, 18E enclosure. The court noted Colts Neck has been stubbornly refused to consider legitimate proposals from builders who bent over backwards. The town engaged in some actions that were deeply disturbing. The letter broadly condemning active acquisitions appeared to be based on misleading information. Judge Grasso Jones was known for her no-nonsense approach. She was candid when we spoke in court. She has been tough on Colts Neck and doesn't like our excuses. I'm not a fan of affordable housing. Hopefully this and the Grand litigation can be settled. 20% of the Grand residents brought litigation. Are they part of the 34 people that I have asked that I commented on? On the June 24th Affordable Housing meeting, I was repeatedly interrupted by Mike Viola, then gavelled down by Mayor Rizzuto for my comments on alternative housing options, on traffic projections, on environmental concerns, and school children. December 2024, Mr. Viola refused to explain his serious concerns over the court order. Mr. Viola need for control wanted public comment submitted in writing in the January 2025 Affordable Housing meeting. I strongly oppose that as a violation of the Open Public Meetings Act. On January 2025, a member of the planning board, Luca Braxi, got in my face, stated he was tired of listening to my comments of affordable housing to shut up and move out of Colts Neck. A police report followed. January 2025, affordable housing meeting. I again offered veterans housing, senior housing, and dedicated affordable housing, all which this committee rejected. June 2025, at the planning board meeting, I asked for the build plan, veterans housing and senior housing. Planning Chairman Tadeo shared his objection and voted against your plan, which was not a plan, but it was more like a threat. Of the 857 new units will generate over 2 million more traffic trips per year. It will consume 50 million gallons of water per year and cost us $8 million more in additional educational costs per year. You posted the opposition for the opposition's legal filing, but failed to post Colts Neck's legal filing. In support of transparency, put both sides up for us to read. On the lawyer's bill on November 28th, it said proposed change in fourth round strategy. December 14th, potential change in fourth round strategy. December 29th, review email from Viola regarding fourth round strategy. I'm just curious, you're at the end of litigation, you're in discussions and settlement, and now you want to change strategy. Changing gears. Tarabus spoke of transparency but never shared the grant for the special needs park was denied by Green Acres. Never shared publicly this committee would not be going forward with the special needs park. Never shared the Sports Foundation will pay for the cost of the architect that designed the 5 Points bathroom after the committee wasted $60,000 of taxpayers' money on a $1.5 million build plan. So what's the quid pro quo? The Sports Foundation pays for the new architect and gets a $35,000 scoreboard, a $20,000 windscreen, $30,000 bleachers, $60,000 in fencing, $35,000 in irrigation, plus $50,000 to convert Field 1 into 2 fields as was discussed at the budget workshop. This committee talked of conserving the 200-year-old Montrose Schoolhouse. Was New Jersey Preservation Grant application submitted for the free money? My editorials in support of these are online, so I've been honest and straightforward the entire time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. I'll reiterate again, veterans housing, seniors housing. Seniors housing is all affordable seniors. It's Medicaid beds in Brandywine, and third is it's active adult. Veterans, active adult, group homes, inclusionary, all of those are being considered and have been considered. We can't put them in a plan unless they're rock solid, ready to go, because what you put in the plan is what fair share in the court will hold you to. So if we could not get something across the finish line to put it in the plan comfortably, we'd have other litigation that we'd be dealing with because we would not have been able to meet the requirements of the plan. So we've considered all, and are still considering those. We have not been able to identify the place to put it. We will continue to work on that.
And one of the issues with these kinds of housing is that the nonprofit developers that develop them want the land donated to them by the township. So we have to acquire the land. We have to spend millions of dollars acquiring the land, or we have to eminent domain to acquire the land, both of which are very, very costly. And then we have to find, where do we do it? So, you know, this notion that we've rejected things out of hand or that we haven't considered things, I just have to say, it's just not factual. We've considered it all. I've been on this committee a year and a half, and only in my time we've considered all of this, and I know that the committee before me has considered all of this. We've considered it. We're considering it. If it was easy to do, we would have done it. We're working on it. So, thank you.
Mr. Krasingas, if a committeeman wishes to opine, give him a second, please. You can wait at the microphone. No, wait at the microphone. You're fine.
Just one item about Mr. O'Brien has brought up numerous times here on the meeting, and that has to do with the 5-point bathrooms. At the last meeting on the budget, I proposed, this has been brought up numerous times. There's numerous issues, whether it's the bathrooms, whether it's the playground. And the one thing I do recommend, because of the acquisition of the property next door, that we do an overall plan for 5 points on a basis of what we want to see there in the next 10 years, and do a phased approach and find the proper location for bathrooms, the proper location for the playgrounds, and any other amenities on that section of 5 Point Park. And I know you're forming an ad hoc committee there, but I do believe that should be done sooner than later, and that a overall concept plan be done for the entire 5 Points corridor by a planner and phasing with input from the residents and also support the foundation. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Krasingas.
Hi, Dan Krasingas, 126 Montrose Road, Fulton, New Jersey. Just to comment on what you said about not, the developing. How can you not have a plan when we were sued by Kushner and with the hopes of a new governor and, and with everything that's going on in the town? I just don't understand that we didn't have a plan on the third round, and we're just hoping we're going to get a new governor, or we're going to get, what else did you say? A new governor, the lawsuits of the other townships that we didn't even join, that we're going to go through. We needed a plan. We didn't have a plan. We're just like a wait and see. But anyway, first I would like to thank the township and the committee for the upcoming repairs on the Montrose Road Bridge. With that being said, again, I would like to address the speed limit on Montrose Road. 45 miles per hour and 40 miles per hour in a residential area is unacceptable. I was told studies need to be done to decrease the speed limit. I looked up other crossroads in town, which includes Stonehill Road, Hyersville Road, Mullenbrink, Preview Road, Truxville Road, and others. Their speed limits are 35 miles per hour or below. What studies were done to establish those speed limits? Since I have lived on Montrose Road, there have been several fatalities, numerous crashes, and excessive speeding. Multiple residents have pulled in to the police department to complain about the excessive speed. What can a study tell you that I have not? I would like to know how many speeding tickets have been issued on Montrose Road on a monthly basis for the last few years. It looks like the residents of the surrounding towns are using our township as a racetrack to circumvent using the main roads of 34, 537, 520, and others. The surrounding towns have been lowering their speed limits with the increased population. Pertaining to affordable housing, the bulk of discussion should not be done behind the closed doors. I don't feel that the committee is being completely transparent. We need to know what was not done and why, when it was not done and why, and by whom was not done. And we need accountability. Cold Township should not run like should be run like a business, not a social club. I have lived here almost 30 years, and in my opinion, it's been a who knows who club. That needs to stop. We need to proactively take on the challenges instead of wait and see attitude. Look at Rumson's, Rumson's Township's affordable housing. You press on it and it's clear and it's concise and transparent and it's proactive, not reactive. There's no 3-story high-density buildings on their plan. You've said that we don't need a housing authority in a town like Colts Neck, but I propose we do. We certainly will need a housing authority once Levana plans come to fruition. I want to be put on record that we need to seek new counsel for affordable housing. It is my understanding that we are paying $40,000 to $50,000 a month to retain counsel, and for what? As far as the ruling over the 3 sites of 171 affordable housing units, which brings in a total of 856 new families moving into Colts Neck, where is our traffic study, our information, infrastructure, environmental? Who on the planning board voted for this? No one. You never put this on the committee meeting agendas until it was already a done deal. Who was the township attorney litigating this? I would like the township to file an immediate appeal of the March 9th court order and disclose whether the township obtained independent counsel for a viable option of appeal. If not, you need to do so before the April 8th deadline. I would like the planning board, if we have one, require a full cumulative impact study covering all 856 units across all 3 sites, traffic, schools, drainage, infrastructure, before any ordinance is adopted. That's it.
Thank you. I'll start with your comments regarding Mr. Krasinkas.
Yes.
I'm addressing your concerns. Your round 3 questions that we didn't have a plan, we did have a plan. Kushner sued us, they owned the property since the 90s. We had Charleston Meadows, which is the furthest southwest property in the township that had been zoned for affordable housing for decades, passed into an estate and sold to a developer to develop affordable housing. Then we had the Schlump property, which is now where Mumford is building 25 homes, which was also granted intervenor status in the declaratory judgment of 2015, where they were given the opportunity to help the township meet its affordable housing obligation. That was 248 homes that Toll Brothers wanted to put on Obi Road on the Schlump property. What we did was we put an overlay district, which means mixed-use development, where you can have commercial on one floor, you can have housing on a second, in the business district. That zoning is still in place. It's been in place since 2020 to stimulate, to get a developer to come in, maybe redevelop some of the older structures there and help us meet our affordable housing obligation. They don't want to build there. They want to build on the beautiful rolling fields where the farms are. So we had a round 3 plan. We also had a plan to work with MRSA. That was our plan. It was adopted and endorsed by the court. We had a round 3 plan. You're saying no, it was adopted by the court. We received compliance on our plan. It's when the sewer part of that plan failed, MRSA sued the township, would not allow the township to join the Manasquan River Regional Sewage Authority to get sewage to that site. We then pivoted to Earl, but that was a $25 million investment by the township to help build out the capacity to take the effluent from the business district. So we had a round 3 plan. The Kushner, Charleston Meadows, and Kushner and Charleston Meadows produce about 170 credits of our 306. So we did have a round three plan. Regarding your comment on who sets the speed limits, I'm going to have to defer to other authorities on that. I'm not aware of who sets the speed limits that you mentioned: Hewitt, Muhlenbrink, Cedar, Tulip, everywhere. Speeding was one thing. Speeding is not specific to Colts Neck. It's happening everywhere. People are driving like maniacs everywhere, every town. Every town. We will continue to enforce as best we can.
And I do believe, I think, I'll speak at school, Mr. Tabia had made a suggestion last meeting that we put the engineers on back as well, just as a second set of eyes on the speed to traffic study. And I agree with that. I think that's a good idea. And the business administrator is not here tonight, but we'll see where that's at.
To that end, does everyone agree on the dais to engage the engineer for study?
Yes, I contacted Mr. Durkin from T&M to provide a quote to the township for consideration. I do think we should go forward with that, but I also believe that there should be additional discussion with the police department and Mr. Durkin on how that study is conducted and what the goals are of that study. And I would be more than willing to sit on that to assist, because there are certain guidelines that need to be taken into account besides just the percentile speed the police department has done. Trying to ask for it.
And Mayor Gillen?
Agreed? For me.
Agreed?
Yes.
Okay.
And no one voted on the three, we didn't vote to accept the three development challenges from Active Acquisition and March and Associates. We've been fighting them. We didn't agree to anything. What we're telling you is we have to agree to put the zoning in place under protest. If we do not put the zoning in place, they will not only be able to build, any other developer who wants to build in town will also be able to build. We will have no recourse to stop the development.
Do I have any more time?
No, you went over 45 seconds.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, just one other item. Dan, you gave us credit for repairing the bridge.
It's the county.
That's not our credit to take. That is under the jurisdiction of Monmouth County Commissioners. They maintain 980 bridges in the county, and that is their project and their expense. Thank you.
Please come forward.
I just have a quick question. Kathy Hoffbauer, T-Shine.
Half-hour?
How many units are we responsible for the low income? How many?
Is that your only question? Is that your only question?
No. And one other thing. Who is responsible for changing the name of Conroe Grove School? Is this something that we vote on, or is this something that just happens? Those are my two questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll take the one regarding the units. We have 138 from our 306 from round 3 that were unmet, so 138, and then the 101 from round 4. So that's 239.
So we need that many more.
Yes, less the new plan that we're putting in that shows the extended affordability controls at the grant. So right now we're at 56. So you would subtract 56 from the 239. What's that, 183?
So we only need 183 more.
Correct.
And then what about the
Please, you have more time. If you wish to be heard, please come to this front.
You're really lucky to be up there.
You're getting your steps in.
Yeah, I know I am.
The other question is about changing the name of Conroe Grove School.
I can take that. In connection with the changing of the name or proposed changing of the name, the Township Committee has nothing to do with this. It's a separate governmental agency. The Board of Ed of the schools would be in charge of changing the name.
So we have no vote on that.
The Township has no vote on our list. They put the referendum.
She's asking about the public?
Yes.
Conroe Grove School,
Township,
if we get a vote on that,
Unless
or
the
they're
board,
just going to do it.
unless the Board of Ed would put it up to referendum, there would be no vote. It would be just the Board of Ed. I can't speak to the Township.
We have no power over that decision. Thank you. Mrs. Mann.
Okay, let me wait,
Take one mic, please.
Sorry. Okay, on ordinance 2026-01 and 02. Yet one more time, Mr. Tobias asked this committee, and you have ignored his request to make these ordinances public and to print them. Why? This is the problem with this township committee. Each time we come here, you say one thing, and then you change your mind and do something else. You're not consistent in what you tell us. So how can we trust you on anything? I also believe that you should form a committee to look into grants. We've lost so much grant money, it's not funny, through the incompetence of our township administrator. Thank you.
Take a couple of minutes only. Anthony Orsino, 15 Joshua Drive. I'm just going to go back to the deed restriction. I became an American citizen. I became a real estate broker. I'm sorry.
Nice and close.
So, the deed restriction, again, Ms. Mariola, you were saying that we're going to go ahead on the process. I think that everybody suggested an appeal, and appeal is what we really want to see about a judge, an unscrupulous judge, a person who doesn't even know maybe about deeds, that makes a decision that is so vital for a township, for people. Judges are called judges. I've seen, in my experience, judges are less worthy than what they really are. Their name is not even worth to be called a judge. This person probably is making a vote disregarding, inconsiderate of a deed restriction. So the question is, a deed restriction, if there's no restriction on a deed, I mean, an ownership of a property has a deed restriction. I don't think there's anyone else that could change that, other than, I guess if the township acts on eminent domain, that's, the township can do an eminent domain on the property, right? A deed restriction cannot be changed by township either. Can it? Can it be changed by township? The deed restrictions are...
Finish your comments, Mr. Orsino, then we'll respond.
But I really plead and I ask you that you really appeal these decisions with the outright importance that a deed restriction cannot be voted without being considered. I don't understand how that is possible. I mean, you lose belief in anything else in property ownership. If a deed restriction is not it's such a thing that could be overlooked. I mean, everyone has said it, I just want to say it as well. I mean, there's people here that are right next door to that property. I don't know how good it feels, you know. It's vital that we, you know, make an appeal. Mr. Zeta, whichever is in charge there, our attorney or an attorney that is going to fight for that. And if it costs money, I believe that Alternate Township can raise the money for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Orsino. So,
We do have the litigator here, Mr. Israel, maybe he can speak on the position with regard to the appeal of the deed restriction issue.
Okay, very simply, we are appealing every single aspect of this decision. I agree with what you said completely. At some point, you do start losing, credibility in the judiciary. This was a horrible decision. I think you've heard from every single person up there that this was a horrible decision. But it was not an unsurprising decision, given who was going to be issuing it. There is, and as Councilman Lucetta said, and other people said, no one was going to get a different result here. Nobody. In fact, I would say that other lawyers would have gotten worse results. Other lawyers would have had this town's immunity stripped during the third round. Other law firms would have had Two Rivers already coming through and destroying this pristine town. So I think that what you see here is the result of decades of Mount Laurel doctrine supported by certain judges. We have an appellate division and we have a Supreme Court, and hopefully one of those is going to understand that the statute in place, the new one, doesn't make any sense. The procedures don't make any sense. The way that Judge Jacobson ruled by talking about settlement conferences, which I've never heard of in my life, doesn't make any sense. Ignoring the deed restrictions doesn't make any sense. We agree with you. The trick is getting the courts to agree, because your appellate division judges and your Supreme Court are appointed mostly by Democrats. And unfortunately, it's something that, we need to deal with. We went up to the Supreme Court during the third round and argued about the gap period. And the Supreme Court really didn't even want to hear it. They kind of just punted on that issue. There's a lot to be said that this really needs to get done at the legislature level, but, I think we'd all be naive to suggest that that's going to happen. So you got to pick your battles. But I'm going to get to the beginning. This is absolutely, positively getting appealed. There is no discussion about it not being appealed. It is unanimous. It was unanimous before today. It was unanimous even before Judge Jones issued her order, because we already knew what was in here with Judge Jacobson's decision. So I'm not going to guarantee you a result, but I can guarantee you this thing's getting appealed. And we're not going to hold any punches with what they with what this decision said.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one other point of clarification, I was to say, Alan, in case of some confusion. The decision that's been issued did not extinguish the deed restriction. The deed restriction still exists. The only thing that's happened is the deed restriction was disregarded as far as compelling the township to adopt zoning. However, the deed restriction could still be considered by the planning board. It could still be the subject of litigation by the township or by residents of the township. It still exists. It has not gone away as a matter of law. Question to the litigator.
No.
Sir,
We can't have a back and forth.
Sir, no.
When you come and talk,
No. Does he have any time left? Sir,
Sir,
please, please.
I believe he does have.
Please come to the mic and finish your comments.
So the question I have to the litigator, thank you.
Just give it your name again.
Adrian Shack, 6 Montgomery Drive, and Dutch Lane is in the back of my property, and that deed is very full. So, in that court order, there was a language that this judge, which they took it out of retirement, to come and issue this, that she acted on the information base provided by the attorneys of active acquisitions. Where was supposed to be? Where were you?
I would say this. Don't believe everything you read in this decision.
It's in the decision.
That was a recommendation, too. That was not a decision.
No.
Judge Jacobson was a recommendation.
No.
Don't mean it's a red flag right there.
It's not true. Just because
I'm not an attorney.
I'm answering your question. Just because Judge Jacobson decided that she wanted to pick and choose what she wanted to refer to doesn't mean that she wasn't provided all the information. It doesn't mean that she's even provided the information in here. I'll give you an example. So,
You know what I'm referring to, right?
yeah, let me give you, so on page 3 of her decision, she says that the second sentence of the plan stated the township's position in blunt terms. Quote, given the township's lack of sewer infrastructure, the township relies upon a durational adjustment. Okay? Who writes like that? This town is absolutely
That was very
positively
sloppy.
entitled to a durational adjustment without any of these restrictions. For her to say that it was in blunt terms shows, in my view, that this was a predetermined decision by her, that she was going to rule against Colts Neck, and went out of her way to make Colts Neck look bad. That has nothing to do with the facts, it has nothing to do with the law, and it has nothing to do with the presentations. It has to do with Judge Jacobson.
Right. And by the way, it was such an insult, if you read it,
I read it.
Polsneck Township, that basically makes you look all of it sloppy.
We were all insulted by this decision.
And to base a decision based on active acquisitions counsel, that's a complete bias. So anyway, that was my comment. Thank you.
Mrs. Foley.
Hi, Kathleen Foley.
That's my daughter.
And
Battery might be dead.
you know, my better news. I'm part of Dark Sky, New Jersey, and I'm here to ask that Colts Neck sign a proclamation for, it's next month. I picked up a few emails and sent them out. I don't know if I sent to you, John. To have the proclamation for Dark Sky Week, April 13th to the 21st, I believe, because that's when most of the migrations of the birds are, and it's for the International Dark Sky Week. And just say a little bit, I know it's really late, but the stars are disappearing. Am I standing on the stars? Light pollution continues to grow at an alarming rate, harming our health, damaging the environment, and diminishing our view of the stars. And just real quick, light pollution destroys critical wildlife habitat, wastes energy and money, harms human health, can't sleep well, inhibits scientific research, robs us of our night sky heritage, and decreases safety and security. That's just brief. That's all I have to say. Hopefully you can think about it and sign it for next month in April.
Thank you. Ma'am? I'm sorry, I don't know your name. I haven't seen your face here.
First time here. My name is Theodora Sergio. I live at 14 Country Meadow Drive. I've been here for 3 years, and I moved here from Toms River. Toms River recently did win some of the affordable housing, so please reach out to them. Because I don't know why.
You can just talk louder.
Okay, so sorry, I have a softer voice, but I moved here from Toms River, and I know Toms River recently did win some type of affordable housing commitment, reduction, and Chatham also. So maybe reach out and see what they did could help us in some way. And as far as deed restrictions, in Toms River, I lived on Vincenzo, and we had deed restrictions. My father built a house, started building framing. He was 1 foot over. The neighbor sued him, ended up tearing it all down for 1 foot. Why? Because everyone on Vincenzo, and I lived on Vincenzo, sued my father because they said if we accept this deed infraction, it sets a precedent for everyone else. So just consider that it might help you with wording or something else. I know you guys, I'm not a lawyer, I'm an assistant dean, but perhaps it can help you in some way if you look at precedents or look at what other people have done, because I know you're fearful of the contractors suing you, but what about everyone who has a deed in Coltsnet suing Coltsnet, or maybe do a class action suit against the state or something? These are all possibilities, and I hope to see a positive solution. Over 55 would be great. It wouldn't congest the schools, whatever, and openness and is the best way forward. If you need assistance from the people of Coltsnet, we have amazing people who live in this town that would be happy to sit on round tables and do discussions that might, come up with some type of solution that perhaps we did not think of. Sometimes an out-of-the-box way can help, but it needs dialogue and it needs transparency, and we're here to support you, and thank you for everything.
Thank you.
So Toms River's round 4 obligation allowing 649 affordable units. Those are just affordable units. They got to build a lot more than that. Ours was 100 more. So they did declare victory on avoiding some other high density with a number like that. It is what it is. And they build them all over the place. So I guess you could say, that did they really win? I don't know.
You want to add anything? Mrs. Duran? She has a few minutes left. You have a minute left.
Canadian Tire, I know you were reaching out to Congressman Smith on the 2 properties that were close to Earl Naval Weapons Station. In light of the Iraq War, this could pose a big threat. everyone is saying that they'll be sending drones and all sorts of things into. Have you had any reaction from Congressman Smith? And if not, we could all get together and contact him and the Pentagon and what have you. We did it before, and we got rid of the housing up there. We could do it again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Van, I was in contact with Mr. Smith's office, but in all due respect, the mayor was further involved with that. I think it would be more appropriate for the mayor to comment.
I was invited to Congressman Smith's office in Washington to sit with him and the Assistant Secretary of the Navy, which I did in early February. I took the train down, paid for it myself. Took 10 days to recover with my back issues. Yeah, the Navy's pretty busy right now. I'd say the entire five-sided building is very busy right now. However, they have not forgotten about it, but I would encourage all of you to call Congressman Smith's office and make your thoughts known. It is definitely a security issue. It's a safety issue, and it's a security issue. It's a safety issue for anyone that would live in those properties that abut the base because it's the largest weapons depot in the eastern half of the United States. It is the only weapons station of its nature in the entire eastern seaboard. Everything going off a ship or off an airplane comes at a Naval Weapons Station Earl. And we must compliment them on the quality of the job that they do because we don't see or hear anything that they've got going on. So they really do have their act together. We are partners with Naval Weapons Station Earl. Secondly, it is a security issue. It's right against the gate. Do you realize that if the development of Wellspring is allowed to continue, it's going to be down the road. Let's say worst case scenario, they win and it's allowed to continue. If there is an evacuation at the base, if the base has an issue and issues an evacuation, do you know who's responsible for that? Colts Neck, not the Navy. Colts Neck. So all of those issues are then borne again on Colts Neck. Just like the impact on fire, the impact on police, on first aid, on our schools, on our roads, on our bridges. Everything is borne by the taxpayer. Please call Congressman Smith's office and express your concern. Thank you. Mr. Lesborough.
I have a quick question. Your name and address, this is Joyce.
Loud, too. Loud.
130 Peacekeeper Drive. Can't you do something with this property, maybe condemn it for public use or eminent domain it?
Which property?
Downtown Dutch?
Well, I'll let the attorney deal. They're already under contract.
Which override it? Stop it.
We can consider the legal strategy. I will say other municipalities have attempted that legal strategy and has ended badly for the municipalities.
Good question, though. Thank you, Mrs. Costa. Mr. Lesborough.
Could you just say your name and address a little?
Patrick Lesborough, 7 Wall Street.
Thank you.
Thanks guys for what you guys did. On this subject, I appreciate you said a parallel approach. I think that is very important. I thought of you previously as well. I think that we should pursue the parallel approach and designing some affordable housing that we build ourselves. My bigger question for Mr. Toby regarding the county, we have a lot of relationships you've spoken to the county about the Wellspring project and how the county's input would affect that project going forward. It's a county viewshed, it's a county master plan, it's a county road. Do they have any input or any say on how it's going to move forward?
I have had numerous conversations with various levels within the county, and it's one of the things that they're evaluating.
You know, today, apropos that, I don't know, I received an email today that the county is using open space funds to pay $27 million for acres of land in Upper Freehold to prevent a warehouse from going in. When Upper Freehold Township wants the warehouse there because it wants the tax income. I think instead of spending $27 million in a town that doesn't want the county to buy that land, the county should come to Colts Neck and buy Wellspring Farms.
Just another thing I was thinking, did we consider building affordable housing on this lot on Veterans Way? Did we consider cottages on Veterans Way over there?
On where?
On Veterans Way, right here. I know this is the thing, not a consideration, so
The makeup of this compound here, or municipal campus,
Green Acres, right?
is mostly green, so, you know, the swaps. Yeah. So actually the town doesn't really own anything that's not deed restricted, covenant.
It's all covered by green acres. So you have no option to
Open space.
And you have to get green acres listed by the state.
But we are, again,
Good suggestion.
despite the narrative that's going around, with this new parallel, okay, it's new, it makes people feel better. But these approaches have been going on the entire time. Again, I think what people are somewhat missing is the fact that if you nail one of these projects down and say you're doing it, you're stuck. The municipality's paying for the whole thing, whether the funding falls through or not. We're on the hook for a housing authority. So these things have to be planned. I agree. These things have to be planned out. They have to be researched. They have to have the right partners and the nonprofits, whoever you're partnering up with. These things you can't just, let's all get together and have a barn raising party, like in Lancaster or something. You have to, do it. It's New Jersey. Too many words. I wish it was a barn raising party. I agree with you, and I agree with the gentleman here. I'd love to get everybody together and buy up everything. Absolutely, fantastic. Let's start that fun time.
Thank you. Mr. Cook?
Jeffrey Cook, 40 Federal P. You had spoken, Mariel, many times tonight about what you present needs to be rock solid. I'm curious if the 34 or 36 units in the grant that had expressed intent to keep their units affordable is part of the plan that you presented. To my knowledge, as of right now, it's still just their intent until they re-sign deeds or agree on another contract paper moving forward. So is that something that you're counting on to be rock solid? Or is that not something that you've presented yet as part of our round 3 or round 4 obligation? And then second, I think, Tom, I'm sorry if that's your name, I tried to go back and look. I don't think this meeting is being recorded. I couldn't find it on YouTube just now. But I thought you had mentioned that in talking about affordable housing and the grant specifically, that either in good faith or goodwill, that you were going to honor the 50%
Recapture.
Yeah, back to the units that are there. If I misheard you, I apologize, but if you could just clarify, appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cook. We did introduce tonight the ordinance to extend those affordability controls for those 34 owners and make the payment of $40,000. So ordinances are introduced, and then there's a second reading, public comment, then considered for adoption. So we've had the first reading. The next reading will be on March 25th in consideration of adoption. At that point in time, when we update our round 4 plan per the court order, we will include the extended affordability controls from the units at the grant. Good question. Thank you for clarifying that. Mr. Taylor. You got it.
Mike Taylor, 42 Maple Road. I think we've all heard an overwhelming community sentiment that there's a desire to build our own and 100% affordable housing, right? And I think the next question, that if that would become a viable strategy, is funding mechanisms to do that. I know that there is an affordable housing fund that everybody pays into when they're doing construction, right? Through bills. There's the $5 million surplus that the township has. There are, I guess, the Monmouth County Improvement Authority. I saw their bulletin this week that their AAA bond rating, and town can leverage them to help fund initiatives, infrastructure initiatives. I don't know if this would be considered an infrastructure initiative. Colstec is a wealthy town. Many potential benefactors, wealthy benefactors here who contribute. There is also the potential of a bond ordinance, and it sounds like there would be broad community support for that potential initiative. I think there should be something that's considered floated to see what level of community support there would be. Again, all of these sources then becoming a slush fund, if you will, to create a pool of money for us to pursue opportunities to acquire vacant lands or lands where owners are potentially willing to sell, that we can then look to develop, to pursue the strategy of 100% affordable, control it yourself rather than relying on developers. I think it is something that we need to push forward on aggressively, rather than waiting on potential opportunities to develop and then figuring out how to fund them. I think we need to get funding worked out, and then we can be very proactive and very strategic in pursuing opportunities where they exist.
Excuse me.
That's my sense.
Thank you.
So the property models for 100% affordable are so complex that, that's why the lawyers put it, they translate it to their language, and then you have to hire more of them to translate it back into English. The 100% affordable requirements for funding, there's a criteria that we got one of the best planners in the state to explain to us 2 meetings ago. And the criteria are, if this, then that, except if this, look up, and it just goes on and on and on. And yes, we're absolutely looking at all the places that will hit the maximum, so we want to get the maximum funding for our partners in this, wherever they may be. They need to get their funding on their side, so the town's not on the hook for all that much money. And again, look for a little bit, but we try to keep that as low as possible, of course. It's not because we're reluctant to spend, it's just that what you want to make them, spend the money they get from their financing to build it mostly. And so the location of where you can put it really limits the choices we have. There's, it's got to be close to the bus stop, and I think Community Sophia touched on this. It's got to be X amount away from this. It's got to be close to this road. It can't be too close to that. Bus, it goes on and on and on. And then there's a rate, and depending on how much you can borrow, it's based on this punch list of things you check on. So again, in spite of this whatever this has been milling around town, the sense of that you guys must have missed something, or your lawyers must have missed something. We've been doing this, and I am going to revel in this. I hope you all come back next week, because I'm going to get every other town in Monmouth County and their obligations. Our round 4 obligation was 101. That was negotiated. Our round 3 was originally, 3?
Prior to the
Yeah. Well, not prior to what we ended up with.
fair share wanted 549, we're at 306.
We negotiated down to 306 and 500 and something. So this whole narrative of, you guys, and I understand, because you're hearing of this some of you for the first time, saying there's no way this not law could be set up like this. It can't be that stacked against municipalities. But I hope tonight you realize it is. And no municipality has ever won. And I stand before you tonight confident, and I'll bring the numbers next week. I'll make dittos and we'll hand them out to everyone in the audience if you want. Comparing our obligations, both round 3 and 4, which were planned. Those numbers we got were not by accident. This whole thing has been a very long legal maneuvering. So I kind of am slightly taken aback to this, and I understand, you guys must have missed something. There's something you missed. And then maybe we should have been, we've been paralleling, double paralleling, reverse paralleling, we've been kicking over every rock. Our lawyer said things tonight that I'm not allowed to say, because he's a lawyer. And I hope you got a taste of where we're at and what we're doing. All right? We are on this, and I like this gentleman's idea, because I think, that, the residents of these impacted neighborhoods should absolutely work closely with our council and meet regularly. I think that's a great idea, and I think that's necessary. Funding-wise, we'll spend the money we need to spend, but wisely to defend this town, and we will spend what it takes to defend the town. And it's overdevelopment, overdevelopment. So thank you.
And this is not to rebut or anything. I appreciate it.
Just give your name and just for the record.
Mike Taylor again. just to clarify, my thought was that I understand that to get the for lack of a better term, the discounted or supplemented funding. There's that threading the needle that you have to do.
From space, with space close
Right,
by.
where you have to be and those criteria that you mentioned. I think that we're at a point where desperate times call for desperate measures, and I'm saying that even if we've got to fund it at levels that are not supplemented, I believe there is a sentiment, a broad sentiment in town that let's do it. Let's go and if we got to spend a little bit more, because it will be far less than the long-term cost of the school impact, the first responder impact, everything else we have to do, everything that Mrs. B articulated earlier. And so even if we have to pay full vote, let's do it. Let's not just look at thread the needle and this is the only plot of land that qualifies. Let's be aggressive and let's take more broadly. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor. Mr. Taylor, the options that you came up with, I will just say one thing, all of the above. We're working on all of the above.
Mayor, if I could just clarify too, the option of bond ordinance, you question whether or not that would be available. A bond ordinance for the acquisition of property would certainly be available for the municipal purpose of affordable housing, and you would get a 40-year useful for it.
Jeffrey Cook, 40 Federal Key. Just in regards to the second part of my comment, I directed at Tom, if you could please clarify.
Sure, yeah, so the proposed ordinance provides that the township desires to maintain the 50% recapture lien on any existing affordable units in the township, if and to the extent those units are currently subject to a 50% recapture lien. So that was my point. We're not going to take the 50% recapture away from people who currently have it. It goes on to say that if such units currently subject to a 50% recapture lien are subsequently sold to a new eligible affordable housing buyer, then that new affordable housing buyer would need to execute a new type of deed restriction that would get rid of the 50%. It would go to something called an equity share recapture, which is consistent with the new law. And then for any affordable housing units in town that are not currently subject to a 50% recapture lien, they would be subject to the new equity share recapture lien requirement. So in other words, you can't become 50% recapture lien if you didn't have it to begin with.
Lisa Weiss, 19 Rancho Polo, another impacted potential neighborhood from Wellspring. My husband wants to know, with the EPA, what are they saying about the groundwater and reservoir contamination from huge septic systems? We have a septic system, 5 people in the household. It gets contaminated. What's going to happen? What are they saying?
We're way away from that. It's a long time to get to that point. We're just at the starting point with this court order that we have to rezone for these developments. That follows next in addition to the appeal.
Having said that, a lot of people in this room fought the New Jersey DEP, wrote letters, and argued with them to not approve what they approved on the Lavanya property. And they did. They did. Lavanya has this untested, I don't know what you call it. So
How many units
we don't control the New Jersey DEP, unfortunately. They have a mind of their own. And again, when the state policy is to build affordable housing, no matter the cost, you see the results that happen.
Any other comments? This is Chris Ankes.
Hi, good evening. Thank you. Can you hear me? Elaine Chrysanthus, 126 Montrose Road. Just a comment that I wanted to make. If you can look on Zillow too, something to think about as far as us, the township, acquiring properties. That property on Boundary and Dutch Lane looked like it went pending on October 30th, 2025, and I think before that, wasn't it available at about 1.9 million? I think I might be correct there, I'm not 100% sure. Let's check that out, just as an aside. I'm in support of us trying to have housing authority going about trying to acquire land ourselves in this township, and to support Mr. Taylor said, I think that's been discussion that we've had here, that people have brought forward kind of as like a brainstorming idea for a few months now, when it first came out that the land was sold, or there was a developer interested in it. So if we could, and have you heard anything from any of the builders that were offering to do something at cost, even at time there? I can recall them coming to the microphone and talking about that. Have you heard anything at this time from anybody on that?
Is that the end of your comments?
I have one more comment too, I'm sorry. You know I'm going to bring up the speed limit on Montrose Road, because I always do, thank you.
Really?
I agree with you.
So, just something that I wanted to talk about here. In New Jersey, we know that the unposted speed limits for residential areas should, if it's not posted, to 25 miles per hour for residential and business districts, and then other locations it can go up to 50 miles per hour unless it's otherwise marked. Some of the recommendations or the key speed limit rules that are in place in New Jersey is that school, business, and residential is 25 miles per hour, and a suburban business residential should be 35 miles per hour. Other locations, open highway is 50 miles per hour, and a state highway is an interstate 55 to 65. I can't understand how Phalanx Road could be considered in the same category as an open highway. I know it's not highly populated there, but still 50 miles an hour down Phalanx Road, it's just ridiculous. Secondly, on Montrose Road, to think about it being at 45 and 40, which is a connector between two roads that, like, we go back to Route 4, which would be Dutch Lane Front, and then 537. It just seems odd. I would consider that to be more of a suburban or residential area at a 35 miles per hour. So if you could consider that, I would appreciate that. And I think the rest of the people that live on the road would too. I know that we have, and I have had friends, I talk with people along the road, I know that people have complained, that the residents that live on the road are really concerned about it. I've lived in this town for almost 30 years. I've seen too many things happen on this road, and we're getting more and more populated. Obviously, we're going to get a lot more populated, and it's just going to be a bigger problem if we don't take care of the speed limit. If more people move in and have in their mindset that they can go 45 miles per hour down that road all the way. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
I don't think I apologize for this. You might have said it, and I didn't write it down. What would you like to see? You'd like to see two speed limits on Montrose?
I would like to see a 35 mile per hour speed limit on Montrose.
The whole,
That would be my preference.
that's something that you would like to see.
There's that.
Right. Consistently one speed.
Honestly, I'd be happy if it were 25, but I would be pleased with, and I would accept 35.
So the committee has just said that they're going to engage the engineer to do a traffic study, so that we'll move forward with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? May I have a motion to close public comment?
Motion to close public comment.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Next Township Committee meeting will be held on Wednesday, March 25th at 7 p.m.